Welcome to the Future Strong podcast. Today we're tackling a really big topic, how artificial intelligence is seriously shaking up higher education.
It really is.
We've looked at a range of sources, getting perspectives from students and teachers about tools like ChatGPT. And honestly, it paints a pretty dramatic picture. We're talking about impacts on learning, assignments. Even the fundamental value of a college degree seems to be under question.
Yeah, some are even framing it as an existential crisis for universities. It's quite a strong term, but you can see why.
Definitely. So we'll dig into that. We'll look at students who are, openly using AI for nearly everything, and the educators who are feeling perhaps a bit lost.
And alongside that, this whole question of what even counts as cheating anymore, is the definition itself changing?
Exactly. It feels like a fundamental shift.
No doubt. The speed this has happened is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
And the responses are all over the place, which just shows how complex it is.
So let's start with the student side. We've got this example, Chung-In Roy Lee at Columbia University. He's quite upfront about using AI for 80% of his essays and even introductory coding assignments.
And his reasoning is interesting, isn't it? He sees the assignments themselves as hackable.
Yeah, hackable and not relevant. For him, college is mainly about the networking aspect.
So the AI is just a tool to get through the parts he doesn't value as much.
Pretty much. And his own journey to Columbia is quite something rescinded Harvard offer, a year at community college.
And he used ChatGPT for his transfer essay to Columbia, which tells you something about how early on this became part of the process for some.
Right. It's woven in right from the application stage. And Lee seems convinced this is just the future, that using AI for homework will become totally normal.
Well, maybe he's not far off considering those early numbers. What was it, January 2023?
Yeah. A survey then found nearly 90% of college students said they'd used ChatGPT for homework already.
90%. So it wasn't just a few early adopters, it was widespread very quickly.
Which brings us to Sarah, a freshman at Wilfrid Laurier University. She used it a lot in high school, too.
And she's continuing in college reporting, amazing grades and being more efficient?
Exactly. She admits she might be getting dependent on it, but she also says, everyone in her class is doing it.
So it's becoming normalized within the peer group almost immediately.
Seems like it. Then there's that quote from a student in Utah. Really stark.
Which one was that?
College is just how well I can use ChatGPT at this point.
Wow. Okay. That really frames it differently, doesn't it? Less about learning the subject, more about mastering the AI.
It's a very instrumental view. So if students are adopting it so readily, how are the educators coping?
Well, it sounds like they are starting to notice things, maybe tells in the writing.
Yeah, things like slightly clunky phrasing, or maybe arguments that are a bit too perfectly balanced, and apparently lots of multifaceted in context.
The AI fingerprints, so to speak.
Yep.
But you have to assume the AI will get better at hiding those.
Oh, for sure. And professors have tried these Trojan horse tactics.
Like hiding weird phrases in the assignment prompt.
Exactly. Like mention broccoli or mention Finland or Dua Lipa, apparently.
But how well does that work?
Sounds like mixed results. Students are reportedly sharing these traps on TikTok.
Of course they are. It becomes a game of cat and mouse, doesn't it? Students adapting just as fast.
And maybe faster. There was that UK study, June 2024.
Oh, yeah, the one where professors failed to spot. What was it?
97% of entirely AI-generated work.
97%. That's quite a gap. It suggests relying on just spotting it isn't really working.
Not reliably, anyway. And the detection software itself, tools like Turnitin or ZeroGPT, they're not perfect either.
Right. There are concerns about limitations, biases, false positives being a big one.
Especially worrying for, say, neurodivergent students or English language learners whose writing style might just be different.
And that bizarre example of ZeroGPT flagging.
Wendy's essay in the Book of Genesis shows the limits of understanding context or originality.
Definitely raises questions about relying solely on those tools.
And meanwhile, students are actively figuring out ways around detection.
Like rewriting the AI output, adding deliberate typos.
Or using those clever prompts like, write it as a college freshman who is a little dumb.
Right. Or even laundering text by running it through multiple AIs.
It's a constant adaptation battle.
It really is. And it leads to faculty making some drastic changes, like Brian Patrick Green deciding to just ditch essays altogether.
But even then, he found students using AI for reading reflections instead.
So it's not just essays. AI can tackle different kinds of assignments.
Which leads to concerns like Troy Jollamore's, this worry about graduating massive numbers of students who are, in his words, essentially illiterate.
Illiterate both literally and culturally, right? If they haven't actually engaged with the thinking and writing process.
Yeah. And you hear about this sense of, well, despair among some teachers, colleagues talking about retirement just to escape this whole shift.
That's a really significant sign, isn't it? When experienced educators feel that way, it points to a deep unease about the profession and their role in it.
So it all circles back to this idea that AI has maybe changed the very nature of learning and, well, cheating.
It seems to have, as one source put it, blown off the feeling on what's possible in terms of academic dishonesty.
Yeah. I mean, we had things like Chegg and Course Hero before ChatGPT, right? Cheating wasn't new.
True, but the accessibility and power of generative AI seem different, a step change.
And universities are all over the map on how to respond. Some are banning it. Others are actually partnering with AI developers.
It's a real mixed bag. Regulation seems incredibly difficult.
And you have stories like Wendy's using AI to outline and draft papers, even for a class on critical pedagogy.
Oh, the irony.
Right. While knowing the student handbook forbids plagiarism, it highlights this. Tension students are navigating.
A kind of cognitive dissonance, maybe. Knowing the rules, but feeling the pull of the tool.
And she herself reflected on what she lost by using AI, that process of planning, thinking critically, the struggle of writing.
That's a crucial point. The process itself has value, arguably more value than just the final product. AI might shortcut the product, but it bypasses the learning embedded in the process.
We heard from Sam Williams, too, a former teaching assistant. He saw a huge change in student writing.
Yeah, style changes, but also factual errors creeping in.
Exactly. Like Elvis Presley showing up in an essay on early New Orleans jazz, stuff AI might hallucinate.
Right, and he felt frustrated by the lack of institutional support for dealing with it.
So much so that he left graduate school. That's a pretty strong statement about the impact on educators.
It really is, and his observation about students using AI just to avoid effort.
Yeah, avoiding the struggle. But he worries that avoiding that struggle actually stops them from developing the ability to work through difficulties, to actually grow.
That touches on something fundamental about learning, doesn't it? Growth often comes precisely from that effortful engagement.
Looking longer term, what are the potential consequences? There's talk about a widening soft skills gap.
Makes sense. If AI is doing the writing, the summarizing, maybe even some of the analysis,
Yeah.
are students still developing critical thinking, communication, complex problem solving?
Skills you need in the workplace.
Definitely. And then you have Laksha Jain telling his computer science students at UC Berkeley, basically, if you rely on AI to do your coding assignments, you're making yourself easily replaceable by that same AI.
Oof, that's direct. And apparently, some tech execs are already questioning the need for so many programmers down the line.
It's a sobering economic reality check for students in those fields.
Some argue that AI's rise is maybe just exposing something already happening in higher ed, this shift towards being more transactional.
Driven by high costs, pressure for jobs, the
Yeah.
focus perhaps shifting from the learning itself to just getting the credential.
Yeah, and AI makes getting that credential potentially easier or seen easier, further reinforcing that transactional view.
Which leads back to Jalamore's question. How can students grasp the real meaning of education if society increasingly treats it just as a pathway to a job?
It's a deep question about purpose. And the tech keeps evolving. Now we're seeing AI tools designed to grade AI-generated essays.
AI evaluating AI, that feels recursive, like a closed loop potentially missing the human element entirely.
And the cognitive science side is raising flags too. Early research suggesting offloading thinking to AI might actually harm our own memory, problem-solving creativity.
Uh-huh. And that link between AI use and declining critical thinking skills. The Microsoft Carnegie Mellon study was interesting.
The one showing that as people felt more confident relying on AI, their own critical thinking effort went down.
Exactly. It's like the better the AI seems, the less we feel we need to engage our own minds.
There's even talk about the Flynn effect, that long-term rise in IQ scores potentially reversing. And Robert Sternberg worrying AI might already be compromising human intelligence.
These are pretty fundamental concerns about our collective cognitive future.
We heard about Daniel, who initially saw ChatGPT as revolutionary, like a calculator for words, similar to the iPhone moment.
Right, that initial excitement.
But then he started questioning things, the value of learning versus just finding answers, the ethics of using it for assignments.
His journey seems to mirror how many people are processing this initial awe, followed by deeper, more complex questions.
And analogies like the contractor using power tools or Mark struggling to define where his own coding work ended and the AIs began.
They highlight how blurry the lines are becoming around authorship and intellectual contribution.
Daniel's thought experiment about the AI love poem is quite telling too. Where's the value? In the poem itself, or in the human act of creating it?
It pushes us to think about authenticity and effort, even in creative domains. Interesting that he now uses ChatGPT to help draft handwritten notes.
A hybrid approach. Trying to find a balance, maybe?
Perhaps. It connects to Oren Starn's point about language being the mother, not the handmaiden, of thought.
And Michael Johnson saying learning math isn't just about math, it's about developing systematic problem-solving skills you can use anywhere.
Exactly. It's the process of engaging with these foundational things that builds the cognitive toolkit, not just getting the answer quickly.
Jonathan Haidt talks about kids needing to learn to do hard things and how tech can sometimes get in the way of that necessary struggle.
Which loops back to the concern about AI making things too easy, potentially hindering that development.
Even Sam Altman from OpenAI, who uses the calculator for words line and thinks the definition of cheating needs to evolve.
He's also expressed concern, right, that as AI gets better, users might become less discerning, less critical.
Yeah. And OpenAI is actively marketing to colleges free access during finals, launching ChatGPT Edu. They're definitely playing a role in shaping this.
It's complex. Everyone seems to be trying to figure out their place in this new landscape.
So where does this leave us? Let's look at Roy Lee again, the Columbia student. He was suspended.
Right. And he's decided not to return and doesn't plan to work for big tech either.
He frames his actions as pushing boundaries, forcing higher education and tech to evolve.
It's a provocative stance, taking his experience and trying to build something new from it.
Which is Cluely, this AI tool he's launched.
And the goal is pretty ambitious, providing real-time feedback and answers by scanning your screen, listening to audio.
His tagline is literally, so users never have to think alone again.
Wow, that's quite a vision. Constant AI companionship for thinking. It blurs lines even further.
Cluely had a big budget ad, apparently 140,000 US dollars, scripted. And its features include things like 24/7 dating advice.
So extending beyond just academics into other areas of life.
Definitely. And he and his co-founder raised 5.3 million US dollars. They're targeting digital standardized tests, basically all campus assignments.
That level of investment suggests a strong belief that this kind of pervasive AI assistance is the future of education, or at least a significant part of it.
Lee's ultimate goal, integrating Cluely into wearables and eventually just in your brain.
Okay, that's moving towards a transhumanist vision, isn't it? Seamless integration of AI into our cognition.
It paints a picture of a future where AI assistance is ubiquitous for learning, for tasks, raises huge questions.
Absolutely. What does learning even mean then? What does human achievement mean?
So wrapping this up, it's clear AI in higher education isn't simple. It's challenging core ideas about learning, how we assess it, the value of the degree itself.
The stories we've discussed, from students embracing AI efficiency to educators feeling overwhelmed, show a massive disruption is underway.
And this evolving idea of cheating, plus the potential long-term impacts on critical thinking and the skills needed for work, these are huge things to grapple with.
Crucial considerations, definitely.
It really leaves us with this big question hanging in the air. How will higher education adapt? And maybe more fundamentally, what will it actually mean to be educated in this age of increasingly powerful AI?